Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So, today I wanted to hop on and I wanted to talk about friendships. So, I wanted to go talk about when you kind of outgrown friends or when you kind of no longer see eye to eye. I have been going through this huge expansion. I used to be very toxic, crazy. I didn't really have things together. Let me just fix the lighting. I was going through a lot of career issues, figuring out myself, and now I'm still figuring out myself. I'm still trying to improve myself, but I'm past certain things. And just like you would pass kindergarten or pass, elementary school, and you move on to the next thing. And sometimes you wouldn't sit there and play with. You would play with them kindergartners, like say if you're in fifth grade, you play with them here and there, but you no longer are able to relate to a kindergartner. And I feel like that's the way life kind of goes. So with me, I had to drop a few friends off at where they're at. And what I've noticed is that I've been attracting um, friends who it just seems like they, um, are at a certain point in their life and then it's just like we don't resonate with each other after a while. And one of the things that I found was kind of common, like I had a best friend and she was doing things that just didn't resonate with me. Like for instance, if someone's doing drugs, like you no longer like you say you're a sober person, it doesn't work out. Or right now I'm in a transition where I'm a mom, so I feel like my actions or who I keep around me is it's it's even more important. It has more of an effect because I have a daughter now. So whatever decision I make, it's going to affect me and her, and I'm an example for her. So with my friends, they always say the five people, you're the average of the five people around you. And I strongly believe that. And so what I was reevaluating the people around me, their values and what they were doing in their life was very low vibe for me. I could not understand it. I understood it, but I didn't agree with it, is a better way of saying that. And I'll give you an example. So, for example, I had a friend who, I've known her for a long time. We were really good party friends, but um, we talked about anything. But the common theme about her is that whenever she would find someone that she really liked, boyfriend or whatever, that person always took the first seat, and everyone else kind of was. She was like, she was still friends, but it was always them first, and she evolved out of that, and now she is with somebody new, and we're in our 30s, so whatever choice you make in a relationship, if you want to have kids, if you want marriage, this is the ultimate time to do it. If not, I mean, you can even say that it's late in your 30s. And so she decided that she's been with this guy, I think more than 3 4 years, and he hasn't proposed. And she would always talk about how he's going to propose, how she wanted this dream wedding, and because she had so many family members, they would need a golf cart to go around to the wedding to say hi to everybody, which is really funny and it's a beautiful thought. But I felt like she cheapened herself and she betrayed herself, and then she got pregnant uh, with him, and without the deal breakers that she said. She didn't get an engagement, she didn't get a wedding, but now she is pregnant with his child. So a couple things for me was like, what she wanted from me was she wanted me to be a supportive friend. And I don't, if you know what a supportive friend is, please leave a comment and let your girl know. But to me, a supportive friend is somebody who's like, hey, like I will tell you the truth in the kindest way that I can. And it's like, hey, I think you kind of like went back on what you have originally said. And you're basically, I feel that you're betraying yourself because you had all these beautiful dreams and then you settled for this one thing. And my perception of it, could be incorrect perception, is that she was worried about, of course, pregnancy, but then like being older, getting pregnant, which is okay. That's so true. I worried about that as well. But to me, yes, I want to be pregnant, but I want to be pregnant by the person who wants to commit and live the dream that I also have. And one of the things that she said was like, he's not going to put a baby in me unless I got a ring. And she went back on that. And that really surprised me. And to me, I was like, you're not being true to yourself. You're worth that ring. You're worth that marriage that you wanted. Um, and when I told her that, she didn't find that as support. I have what I believe is that there's this toxic support. And I believe that we all should be true to ourselves and stick with what we value. So for me, I value friends who value themselves. So when she was doing this, I already know how difficult motherhood is, and how important it is to have a committed relationship in order to bring a child in, because it's hard. I love my daughter, but being a mom is very hard without the correct support and relationship and commitment. So, with that being said, I find that there's toxic support where women just be like, oh, yeah, I'm trying to be a supportive friend. Go ahead, do you. But in reality, they're like, you're making bad moves. I'm not like, I personally don't believe in that type of friendship where you, to your face, I'm like, yeah, right on. But inside, I'm like, that what you're doing is kind of like crazy and like so not good for you. And it's just like saying, yeah, you're feeling bad, go ahead, do your drugs. And then it's kind of like, oh, I have a supportive friend. So for me, that's what that's similar to doing. So this video, I just wanted to say like how, yes, you may be friends with people for like 20 years, but there is a point where you kind of outgrow them or your values change. And just because your values change, just like any relationship, like even romantic relationships, you can break up. You can break up. And you only are bringing yourself down and being influenced by those type of people. If they're not at your level, you have to let them go. And if they're not at your level, or see the values that same as you, you'll always be like this. Every conversation will be fake. Every conversation will, you feel like you have to like put on this face of support, and then you're like, hey, but inside you're like, ooh, like, I don't know, what are you doing? Why are you dating that like toxic person again? And you yourself are not elevated. You yourself are stuck with this like weird vibe, weird like, ugh, like every time you see them and they're like happy, but they're like not happy, and they pretend like everything is going well. And then you have to pretend, but inside you're like, that, what you're doing, not cool. Or you're just like really just depreciating yourself. I have been doing that for a while. I've been like keeping my mouth shut and just being like, yeah, girl, do you. And then really I'm like, that's not good. That's not good. And now that I'm a mom, I think about my daughter and I'm like, okay, I don't want to hang around with people like that. And then not that it's like they're so awful, but it's just their values are not the same as mine. And I don't want her to get those values all mixed up. So, and I also don't feel elevated by the conversation. I don't feel that we are moving and working on the same things. So yeah. And then another like in this this elevation or just like expanding, I'm just like growing as a person, I had to let another friend go who I had brought back into my life, but then, I was like, okay, maybe she changed, and she didn't, because the reality is, when I let her go, I quantum leaped many different things in my life. When we were like we were friends during, like, at the beginning of pandemic, and then we were talking about the pandemic, how crazy it was, and she was like online dating and I was online dating, and then we became friends again, and we became friends again when I was getting married. um because I was like, oh, hopefully she's changed, or maybe she's grown, and then she's been there for the rougher times of my life, so maybe I should just like reach out and then try to rekindle the friendship. Maybe she's gotten better, I've gotten better. And the reality is, when we became friends again, she was still dating the same guy who she had found out weird stuff about. And they had actually moved in together. But by that time we became friends again, I was already engaged, and then I was getting married. Okay. And then we kind of not see eye to eye. And then I was like, okay, well, we'll just stay friends. And I found myself being that toxic, supportive friend. Toxic support is what I needed. Just that's the new word, okay? Where she would say, "Oh, she really wants a family. She really wants a baby." Okay, right on. I'm all about that. But what are the steps that you need to take? So every time I would mention something to her, I was like, "You need to make sure he has like financial like security and like have a job, all these things." She would make up all these excuses for him, or say, "Oh, like we're doing great. We're doing great." And I'd be like, "Okay." But the reality is, if you ask her deeper, they're not doing great, or she's putting on a fake show. And for me, I cannot be with people like that. Like, I will bulldoze you. Like, I can feel the acting, the fakeness, and I it doesn't resonate with me. So like, for instance, she would say, like I said, she was wanting kids and family. And so I said, okay, well, you've been dating this guy for years. When is he going to propose? That's what you want. And I kept pushing the topic because she kept saying all these like flowery things about him, how awesome he is. I was like, okay, that's great. But you want family and marriage. So when is he going to propose? And she kept making excuses for him. We have a couple things that we need to work on. And at the end of the day, honey, by the time I've been asking this question, I now have a kid. I now had just bought a house, and you're still at that same spot, but you can't look in the mirror and tell yourself that. So when I actually do shine the light for her, telling her the truth, um, I am tagged as like a non-supportive friend. Like, I'm not a supportive friend and I'm ultra judgy. But the reality is, I'm just trying to help you get what you actually want and help you remove those blockages. And I'm basically a mirror to you. This is what is going on. You ultimately have to do the thing that you want, and you have to take the hard decisions of, maybe this needs to end. Um, so that this video is basically saying, like, you have outgrown your friends, and you need to find the 5 different other people that you can be the average of, that's elevating, that inspires you. Okay. And another thing that I feel is really odd is that there's therapy, and therapy is very popular, and a lot of people need that. But don't what I found was, with my friend, is like, yes, she's going through therapy, she's doing all this growth. But what I found her doing is taking on this therapy personality. Like, where when you talk to them, it's no longer like a friend conversation. She would ask these weird, like, so what are the positive things about your day? And it's kind of like, yeah, that's cool. Like that's cool, like, I'll tell you. But then it felt like very like therapy talk, so yeah, you're doing your inner work and getting your therapy, but don't get caught up into this like facade of like, where you have to talk kind of fake, and that just really bothers me, because I it's like a mother energy, like, oh, tell me about your day. And I'm the type of person where it's like, beat me with a stick and tell me what I'm doing wrong, and so I can just get it right. I just tell me the answer and tell me how to get there, and that's I'm gonna do that. I don't need to like tell me about your positivity. Tell me three things that are positive. That's very therapy slash coaching type conversation. That doesn't vibe with me. So another thing that I found very common with these two friends that I've started to recognize is that why would you want to get married or have a baby by someone who cannot commit? Why would you want to be connect yourself to somebody who cannot commit to you, who cannot get down on one knee, that needs like, all these excuses why they cannot commit and propose and get married to you? Why do you want a family with somebody like that? Okay. For me, I want somebody who is committed, down to commit, and I don't have to convince them. And then I don't have to sit there and get therapy and try to convince them to marry me or get pregnant by them so I can get married. None of that uh, makes me feel like, oh, they're a good partner for me. That makes me feel like, oh, you're like, I'm being desperate. So anyway, this is just my rant about toxic support from friends. And yeah, all right, I'll catch you in the next video.